In our last video, we posited a simplistic view of how a COVID infection could promote Alzheimer's disease, specifically for the elderly in severe cases from the strains that were circulating back in 2020. We said that a COVID infection causes a cytokine storm that leads to inflammation in the brain, severe enough to perhaps initiate Alzheimer's disease. Recall that the genes most closely associated with Alzheimer's disease appear to do so by creating an inflammatory environment in the brain. But is that all? And is it possible for the vaccines to do the same thing? Let's take a look. Hi, I'm Dave Brown. Welcome to the Dementia Monster channel. According to an editorial in the June 2023 issue of the journal Infectious Disorders, the process whereby a COVID infection might prompt the development of Alzheimer's disease is really quite complex, and the spike protein vaccines may actually do the same thing. The editorial was entitled COVID-19 and Alzheimer's Disease. The link finally established. The authors have been involved in research on the relationship between Alzheimer's and COVID, and we have links to their work in the show notes below. Now, what's even more disturbing is that COVID, and perhaps the vaccines, actually accelerate the development of Alzheimer's. We noted in other posts, and in our book, Beating the Dementia Monster, that Alzheimer's may actually begin 15 or 20 years before the first symptoms. But symptoms may begin apparently only 4 years or so after a COVID infection. A fuller explanation of how COVID and the spike proteins in the vaccines might cause Alzheimer's involves the renin-angiotensin system, or RAS. RAS involves every cell in the body, but most specifically the kidneys, the liver, the blood vessels, the lungs, the adrenal glands, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus. The most notable thing about the RAS is that it regulates blood pressure through a very complex process. And if the RAS is disturbed, it causes problems with blood vessel constriction, which raises blood pressure, toxic storms of cytokines we discussed last time, the production of reactive oxygen that kills cells, the formation of clots that obstruct blood vessels, the growth of blood vessels in tumors, reduction of oxygen in the blood, a deficit of oxygen supplied to various cells, tissues, and organs, organ fibrosis, increases in organ volume, nitric acid levels affecting inflammatory, immune, and memory phenomena. Now, is that enough? There are certainly well-established relationships between Alzheimer's and high blood pressure, inflammation, and oxidation from reactive oxygen. While the authors stated that the vaccine spike proteins are capable of causing the same mischief as the virus itself, it appeared to me that they floated this as a hypothesis. They didn't cite any research that found an unambiguous link between the vaccinations and the development of Alzheimer's. And from everything I've seen, these concerns are most relevant to the original strain and the Delta strain that appeared in the first 2 years of the pandemic. But we're still waiting to see what becomes of people who were over 65 when they had a COVID infection severe enough to hospitalize them. So thanks for watching. If you found this content interesting, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We have links in the show notes below to the research paper we discussed, as well as to our book, Beating the Dementia Monster. We also have a link to our blog where we have more than 500 articles about how to beat the dementia monster. Thanks and have a great day.